What's good, everybody? Welcome to the trade recap for September 24th. I'm going to quickly run you guys through the short that I ended up taking and why it was so unfortunate, because it got stopped to break even and then it ran to take profit. But overall, I think it was a super interesting day. Great bias, great everything, really strong analysis today. So without further ado, let's just hop straight in. So on ES, check out where we're at on the chart, right? When we open the market, we're right here at about 9 a.m., right? So we haven't put in this down candle yet, but we're setting up for it, right? Understand we had displacement. We came and we generated equal lows right here. Technicals tell us when we rebalance to equilibrium of this range and when we see manipulation at highs, wherever we're at, when we get that injection of volatility, which can be market open, that's when I expect the market to start to move, right? So we're super close here to equilibrium, and I'm just expecting to see one final manipulation on the 1 minute time frame. And it's really the same exact thing on NQ, so I'm not going to pull it over. But yeah, I'm literally expecting to see one final manipulation on the 1 minute time frame, and then we can look to start seeing price push lower. And I'm expecting to be able to take that at least to 830, I believe this was. No, it's something else. But yeah, I'm expecting to take that to at least the nearest low. And then in this bigger time frame model, right, if that ends up playing out, this now becomes buy side of a bigger time frame curve. And then I'm expecting to be able to say that this right side is going to be sell side of the curve down to potentially one of these lows, maybe consequent encroachment of that low. So maybe some kind of 50% point, like it's drawn in right here, right? Maybe somewhere down to that level. That's where I can expect to see sell side go, right? So now I'm just pre-gaming and I'm watching and I'm waiting to see if I can start to get my internal model entry, because like we said, there's that, right? Which is going to be the overall bigger model, right? But if we zoom lower to 15-minute, right? We now have this, which is its own market making model, right? It's a buy side of the curve into a fair value gap, into change of the state, equilibrium, all that good stuff. And then we see sell side of the curve down to go ahead and take that low. So like I said on open, to start that model, I want to see an injection of volatility. When we get that injection of volatility, it's usually going to be some kind of manipulation on market open, whatever, right? So I'm waiting to see 1 minute manipulation and then we take a short. Market opens and on 9:30 we start dropping, bro. Like we have all of these equal highs set up right here. This is the previous one right here. So equal highs set up right exactly right here, right? I'm wanting to see this get taken. We end up making equal highs with that, right? And for me, because we had all those equal highs, I said if we get manipulation lower, watch, we're within a fair value gap, right? If we get some kind of SMT, say we had something like this where we get a manipulation lower and we see SMT here, we're within a fair value gap, we could go ahead and take a long here. That wouldn't be bad, but the market never gave us an opportunity, so I didn't end up forcing anything, and because of that, I didn't have to bleed for that potential idea. The second thing, and the trade that I actually ended up taking was right here. So if we check this out on NQ, I ended up trading NQ, right? So same exact thing, like the analysis is the exact same. It's just the point that we're at in price, right? The analysis is literally the exact same. So right here, we are within the bigger time frame for value gap, right? I'll zoom out on the 1 hour for you guys right here. So on the 1 hour, we're rebouncing back, right? We just tapped change of the state. Hopefully, maybe tap equilibrium. Let's see. Turn that out. Yeah, so we just tapped equilibrium here on NQ. And now we're expecting to see a drop, right? The exact same analysis on ES, right? So this now becomes sell side of the curve. Drawing that in right here. I just want to see one more manipulation of highs, and then we can look to go. So NQ ended up making this manipulation right about here, right? So we had this turtle soup level, which I believe could have been some type of SMT. However, I want to see the bigger overall model get turtle souped, and that would have been the way, or swept, and that would have been the way that I like to see a reversal. But from here, if you got entered in on maybe displacement and then pull back to this order block, that would have been like the highest probability setup of the day, honestly. And then you could have let that ride all the way down to here. That would have been super fat, 3.367 hour. The trade setup that I end up taking is this. We come to this point right here and we get super close to taking this low, but we don't end up doing anything. We come up, we rebounce into order blocks right here, almost equilibrium of the range. No, not bad. Not really looking for it all too much. We end up rebouncing to order blocks. We make some kind of SMT on this high right here. And then we also make an SMT right about here. So I trade the weaker one on this most recent pair, and I look to trade that down to the lows, right? So this model ends right here, right? This is where the end of that generated liquidity is. That's where the end of this internal model ends. So I'll quickly draw that out. It will be from here up to that point. That's the buy side of the curve. And then boom, right here is sell side of the curve. So I'm expecting to now be able to trade that once I get displacement, right? So I get my inverse fair value gap right here. Looks a little bit small, but it's still an inverse, right? So I get my inverse right about here. Let me zoom in to refine. It's actually pretty small, I'm not gonna lie. And then I end up getting change in the state right about here with displacement. Sadly, no fair value gap opened up, and that's why that was a bit of a lower probability setup. But that's where I end up taking my entry. So I end up taking my entry right about here. And from there, stop at the high, and then we trade it to first low, first take profit, second take profit all the way here, and then probably final right here. So, I mean, that's how I like to trade this, right? And my rules with going break even is I'll let price pull back in, right? But once I see a second pullback, or once I see a clear turtle soup, right? So this becomes the pullback that we get tapped in on, then this becomes, that sweep becomes turtle soup, right? Once I see that turtle soup, if price goes ahead and it becomes bullish to go ahead and pull all the way back, that's when I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, I'm just gonna go break even. So once I see that big move down, go break even, and then I let the rest of the trade go, and we end up getting stopped out, and then price plays around and then dumps to take profit. So overall, pretty great trade. I like to check out ES right here. I want to see if we could have taken the same thing on ES and ended up knocking stopped out. So no, we got stopped out, and then there would have been no possibility for a re-entry here on that change in the state level here. So we did end up taking the best setup of the day. I think the best move would have been literally just let that thing marinate while we sat there and watched it. The biggest lesson from today is going to be two things, right? Overlapping models, right? On the bigger time frame, the 1 hour, we're starting to see a bigger time frame market maker model play out, right? Expecting this to now become sell side of the curve down to one of these two lows or two areas right here. And then on the lower time frame, every single pullback into a big fair value gap that we have, that is going to be its own model. So zooming down to the 15-minute, right? We have a model sitting right about here, right? This looks really clean to go ahead and trade a short. It looks really nice. Definitely super interested in taking that opportunity, right? So now I'm just waiting to align this 15-minute, which is already an internal model of the overall model, with an even further internal model, right? So now I'm looking to zoom into the 1 minute and just trade the 1 minute setup. So we end up getting the 1 minute setup right about here. You take the setup, you trade it to the lows. Now this becomes your third overlapping model. So I'll quickly draw that in with the same big curve so everyone can visualize it, right? That becomes your third overlapping model. And now you can expect to see one of the highest probability setups because we recognize the model's ready to go because we wait for our entry model, right? So once we see our entry model, we know that we have two bigger time frame overlapping draws and liquidity. That's when it tells you, all right, yeah, like this is ready to go. So that's why you can get such high probability trade setups just trading this strategy, waiting for the overlapping models. So zooming out, we're gonna get something like this, right? Guess we can't zoom out anymore, but yeah, this would have been the trade to wait for that internal model, right? And you could have gone ahead and traded this all the way up here from the 1 minute chart, but at that point, the 15-minute model hadn't really been established or confirmed yet. So it's always better to wait for that extra confirmation, and then you can just leave runners and still get a ton of RR. So, I mean, overall, I think this was a W day, W opportunity, W way to have, a little bit of a Wednesday. I think the big lessons are going to be that fractal price. And the bigger lessons are always do your due diligence on the higher time frame, right? Coming into this day, really analyzing the higher time frame for minutes, recognizing where we could potentially see price go, recognizing all these things, that's going to always pay you a ton, bro, because it gives you great opportunity to go ahead and expect and understand where the market wants to go for the day. So it's always the top down analysis, doing really nice thorough top down analysis, actually not trading your idea of where you think price could go because it would be nice looking to high probability, but trading what the chart's actually showing you, right? Those two things combined with understanding the internal models are going to make you a much better trader after the lesson that today's market brought us. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys learned at least one thing that you can go ahead and take from the way that I explain it and go ahead and adapt it to your own trading style so we can all become way better traders, make way more bread, and all that badass stuff. So without further ado, I'm going to let you boys go. Peace out.